So today this is an approach we're gonna do every fifth Sunday, but today's not the fifth Sunday. But I felt it would be a good idea to have questions with real life answers so that we can explore things. And it's not just about spirituality, it's about anything, because what is spirituality? Spirituality is life. Spirituality is life expressing itself in every way possible. There's nothing that's not spiritual. A lot of people like to say, well, Lee, I'm really spiritual. Well, no kidding, because everything is spiritual. There's nothing that's not. And so I thought it would be good if we just took things that are on your mind and what you were thinking about and just started exploring them together. And I'm not going to give you what's right. I'm going to give you what comes to me, what I feel is an idea, a view about what's happening. So let's start off. The kids at Agape, depending if they're the older kids, if they're the 6 to 12, the 6 to 12-year-old kids are getting a small lesson on science of mind principles. The kids under 6, they're playing, because that's what kids are for. I think one of the greatest mistakes we make is that we think that kids need to grow up real fast. And I think that's not what life is. And then, so we get our kids to grow up real fast, and then we've got to grow up fast, and we miss the idea that life is about playing. And we take life way too seriously.
What is the purpose of life?
To experience. That's exactly it. You know, there's so many ideas that we have come from, we've come here for a purpose. We've come here for God's plan, for a specific plan. I don't think so. I don't think that's realistic. I don't think there's some being out there that's got a plan for us. But here's what I know is there's something that's innate within each of us that is desiring to be experienced. So we came into the physical body, and when we came into the physical body, we've got what? 5 senses, don't we? And we can only have those senses in this physical world. So if we've got those senses, isn't it there that we explore them to the maximum? But here's what happens to us as we're exploring them. We become attached to having the same feeling, or we get attached to avoiding a feeling instead of taking the feeling in of what we're experiencing, fully feeling it, and then releasing it, and then being available in the next moment to experience the new feeling. You see, that's how you're going to get the most out of life, is that when you're fully centered in the moment, you take it in, you experience it, you let it go. And that requires a great deal of awareness. I've uncovered that this week when I'm looking at this and I had my surgery. I had to become aware that when I came out of anesthesiology, I was aware that my feet were not going where I was telling them to go. So I didn't get attached to the idea that, oh my God, I'm having this negative effect. No, it was an experience. I let it go. And then you keep having that, and then what are you doing? You're present in the now. And isn't that the only place that you can really experience the trueness of life? Is in the now. Everything comes to that. That's our purpose, to be in the now.
Please give more info on releasing the how of intention over to God and the universe for bringing all into fruition. The best way or words?
Our mind is linear. And so when we have a linear mind, what we do is we pull back things from in our memory as to how things should get done. And guess what? There are infinite numbers of ways that things can happen. So if we start telling the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, this is how I want it done, what have you done? You've eliminated the possibility of having what you desire come into your life. So if you're there and you say, I desire to build a spiritual community. I desire to attract people of like mind that we can spread this world, not only in person here in Collin County, but throughout the world. I don't have to have the plan in place, but I listen for what's my next step. And that's where infinite wisdom comes. Infinite wisdom will always guide you to your next step. And if you can have faith that your next step will follow, then you're never at loss. Because we get depressed when we start thinking that we have to have all the steps lined up. In fact, we get actually paralyzed by the idea that we have to have all of our steps lined up, and we won't take action. Because, I've got to have my whole plan together. No. Just take a step. And know that the divine within you will guide you to your next step, and then your next step, and then your next step. And realize that as you're going, there will be times that things will be moving forward, and then in order to go further forward, you've got to release some things from the past, and it'll look like a step backward. And then all of a sudden, you release those things, you move forward a few more steps. Do you see what I'm getting at? So it's not always a steady movement forward, because sometimes it takes time for us in our human form to be able to release. And when I say release, it's releasing old beliefs. And yes, you're not going to like this, it's releasing people. There are people that in our lives that because of the type of relationship we have are holding us back from our greater self because they don't want us to change. And guess what? The key to life is to embrace change because it's the only thing that we're assured of. We can be assured in every moment, everything in our lives will change. Our bodies are not the same right this moment than they were 5 minutes ago. We probably have millions and millions of new cells and we've released millions of cells. That's how quickly change happens. We're just not aware of it.
If we're here to create or experience, what is the creation? What is it we have to create?
Whatever you want. It's your fantasy. It's your dream. What is it you want to experience? What is it you want to have in your life? And realize this, that when you're creating this dream, you're creating this fantasy, realize that if you're stuck in the idea that it's always going to be blissful, you're setting yourself up for extreme depression. Because depression comes from the simple aspect of having unrealistic expectations. And to know life means to experience all of life. So I can't know what a healthy body is until I experience what it's not to be healthy. I have a finer appreciation of what it means to have surgery and to be without a hand for a period of time. So I have to embrace that, don't I? You can't just embrace what you feel is good. You embrace what you feel is not. There's good coming from this. The question is, are we open to see the good in everything? So we've got to stop this idea that I can experience only good. Only good things happen to me. Well, good things happen to you, yes, depending on how you're looking at them. A lot of good has happened from this. Let me tell you, in my pre-op room on Wednesday going into surgery, it was a friggin' party. And it was a party because I created that party. I didn't want anyone in my surgery that was not in a frame of mind that was the way I wanted it to be. I will share that with you. There were like 6 nurses and 1 anesthesiologist and the doctor in my room all at one time, and the one nurse comes up and says to me, are you allergic to this? Are you allergic to that? And I finally said, let me tell you, I'm allergic to one thing. And she says, what's that? I says, nurses who don't smile. And this was a really straight, and all of a sudden she got the grin. And everyone popped alive. Because isn't that what this was about? Their doing surgery was what? It was about helping me get more back to life. And I wanted them to embrace it. And Jean was there. She heard me tell the doctor, this is going to be the best surgery you've ever done. I told the anesthesiologist, you're going to take me to the perfect place where I go down, I have no pain, and I come out pretty easily. I think they misunderstood that one. I think they said, well, he's growing a beard. He must be a hippie type. And so they put me into a land I haven't been in since the early 70s. I'll just say that up front. But it's about you understanding that you create your experience, and how you perceive things is what will be drawn back to you. Take the idea of a divorce. A divorce is not necessarily a bad thing. A divorce is a relationship that you shared a part of your life with for a particular time that now has given you greater clarity to be in a different relationship that's going to give you a greater clarity and support at this time. Do you see that? But we make things like this, we make them negative, and they're not negative. We attach a label to it. It's not a label, it's just an event. How we interpret that event and what we get from that event, that's what we have to discern.
We got a lot of questions here.
Do you notice how the wife was given one job, and it was to read the questions? And in her inalienable way, she decided, well, I have to have commentary too.
You'll love this one. I'm trying to finish school, but it feels that the path of least resistance is to stay in bed, have lots of sex, do fun activities with friends, shop, etc. It feels efforting to study, to do homework, etc. So how do I navigate that deeper thing I want versus what seems to be the path of least resistance?
First off, have as much sex as you can handle. That's really key. That's the creative urge within you coming out. And to deny that creative urge is just not a good thing. That's called repression, and that's a bad thing. So the idea is that if you're feeling that studying is not something you're desiring to do, then you've got to ask the question, am I studying what's going to bring me joy? Am I studying what's going to help me fulfill something I want to do? If it's filling something that you want to do, then what you've got to do is you've got to link and say, okay, I'm doing this studying because it's going to bring me this wisdom, which is going to allow me to do this and to experience that. Once you've linked the value of what study brings to what you truly desire, then you'll do it without problem. That's like when I went and got my master's degree in consciousness studies and my ministerial degree, I spent 3 years. All I did was study full time. Well, I just wanted to be a minister. I just wanted to get up and talk. But I had to realize I had to do the study because it gave me the background. It gave me the time to evolve my consciousness to be the person who could begin the journey. And here's the thing about that is, when you're saying you don't like studying now, guess what? You're going to be studying the rest of your life. So find something that you want to study. Find something that juices you, and find something that gives you value and purpose, that expands you and causes you to become more aware that you want to learn. I can't wait to study more and get more out of it. I've been studying, God bless it, Late Show. Craig Ferguson. How many know Craig Ferguson of the Late Show? It's gone now. Go on YouTube. This guy is the best talk show host ever. Ever. David Letterman? All these other guys were nothing. This guy was unique. He had personality. He didn't try to fit a format. He just let his personality come out. And that's what drew me to him. He could be humorous. He could do all these things, make people really comfortable asking crazy questions because he was enjoying life. Be a student of life. Go on, Jean.
Okay. How do I let go of expectations of an inheritance promised to me in the past? But now that I'm living my own authentic life and not the life that my family member wants for me, there is now a strong possibility that the inheritance promised is no longer on the table.
Well, that's real simple. Inheritance and money does not bring you joy. It can be a burden beyond anything that you can imagine. So the key thing you've got to discern is, how can I be me? How can I just be me? Be my best authentic self. And here's the thing. If you care about how the money comes to you, you're screwed. Because now you're a slave to that method. You're a slave. That other person now has power over you to control you. You've actually given away your power. But if you're authentic and you're real and you're coming from a place of love, I wouldn't worry about the inheritance. There's only so many kids in the family, and the inheritance will come. I can relate to my wife. My wife's mother did not like Lee Wolak. Did not like Lee Wolak. Why? Because she couldn't control Gene. Because Gene was married to a very powerful person who was not going to let his wife be controlled by some outside force, especially a mother-in-law. And so there was a rebellion. They wanted nothing to do with us, nothing to do with us. And then there was peace as we went through our life to the best of the ability. And then when her mother died, Gene wasn't in the will. Guess what her sister did? Her sister split the money up and gave Gene her half. You don't have to see how it's going to happen. It just happens. See, the universe always works. You can't care about how. We go back to that again.
How do we practice agape principles without becoming too egocentric?
You can't accept yourself and be ego-driven. Because you do a lot of stupid things. I do a lot of stupid things. And to be able to accept ourselves means we have to look at our foibles and our great things. And we have to accept all of them as a part of us. And realize that all of them balance us out and make us the unique that we are. And that when we embrace them, we're actually applying the agape principles, which is what? How to better self-love through conscious living. Love means self-accept. Conscious living is to consciously accept everything in our lives as it is and realize that we can now take our lives and channel it wherever we want.
Okay. What is the best way to meditate as a couple? I want to meditate with my partner, but I don't know how to explain or show him because I'm so new to meditation myself.
Come to meditation class next Saturday. We got a meditation class next Saturday. You'll see it out there. You come and I'll teach you that. It's real simple. It's not a hard thing to do. It's a matter of having an intention and sitting in stillness, whether it's guided or just stillness, at a specific time. Gene and I have been doing it now since August 1st, I'm going to say. So August, September, October. We're now in our third month or fourth month. Where every morning at 5:30 in the morning, we're sitting in our chairs and we're meditating together. 45 minutes every morning. It changes your whole relationship. It's not like you're focusing on the same thing. You're just having an experience at the same time with an intention of going within. That's all it is. Come next Saturday. I'll teach you everything you need to know.
Intuition versus logic versus instinct. How does one consciously apply the right mindset to achieve making the best decisions in times of struggle, contemplation?
Good question. Instinct. Married man, good-looking woman, not married to, comes up, takes her clothes off. Instinct would say, do her. Not a good decision. Logic would say what? Don't do it, right? So you've got instinct and you've got logic there in the most primal way. Intuition would be this. Intuition would say, wait a second, I've married someone that I've designated as my life partner who is there to support and grow me and me to support and grow her, and we have formed a spiritual union based on that. Therefore, it's only logical that the benefit I'm receiving from that spiritual union is far superior than what I could receive from the physical pleasure that would be temporary, that would cause more disruption than you could possibly imagine in one's life. Intuition is an inner knowing without reason. Can I be more clear about that? It's an inner knowing without reason. I know I shouldn't go there because something tells me, don't go there. My initial response was very jovial. It was very male. It was very, raw. But but I wanted you to have that. I wanted you to experience that because so many times we deny the aspect that rawness is a part of life. We in the West, we're so hung up on this thing of sex, it's absolutely incredible. And we've got to get over it. It's a natural thing. And it's a chosen thing. And you can consciously choose how you engage, or you can unconsciously choose and be an animal about how you engage. I'm saying consciously choose. There's no sex act that you can do that you've consciously chosen that isn't beautiful. Because if you've consciously chosen it, it's your heart guiding you into that act. And that's got to be a spiritual union that is beautiful, that no one can deny the beauty of.
Okay. What is evil? If all is one, then how do we explain things that are evil, such as murder, pedophilia, etc.?
There's no such thing as evil. It's all human perspective. It's evil because we believe that we're not immortal. It's evil because we believe that this human world is all that is. But if we have a soul, which we do, we have a part of us that lives forever. When we die, all we do is we go into the next dimension, right? Whatever that dimension is, I don't know what it is. But the body doesn't mean if I kill someone, it's a horrible act from the human side. It's also an act. Now, so what's the difference? If I want something and you've got it and I murder you, or you're coming to take something and if I don't murder you, you'll kill me. What makes one good and one bad? It's the same act, isn't it? This is a really difficult question because one of the things we find today is that the whole Me Too movement, and the Me Too movement isn't just about women. I'm going to really make that clear. A lot of times the movement out there is about women being sexually abused as children and as young women and that type of thing. Let's say, 1 out of 3 women, I think the psychological statistics are. 1 out of 4 men have been sexually abused too. So it's not that women own that. Men just aren't bringing it out. And once you start to realize, and men open up and you start to realize, we've all got that. But here's the key. If you're living in the now, you're not bringing that past experience forward. It's only when you bring that past experience into the now that you have the negative impact. Why should you suffer for the rest of your life for something that happened to you 25, 30, 40 years ago? Why not just leave it in the past? It's not who you are. We've identified ourselves with things that happened to us, that's who we are. That's not who we are. It's an experience we've had. That's all it is, an experience. And we can let that experience go into the nothingness when we decide that there's nothing more for us to get from it.
What is it when you're constantly thinking about something or someone that you don't really want to think about? For example, someone else's husband. Does this law of attraction bring a manifestation of that?
A lot of people have that problem. They see a person. It's something I'm very dear to. A lot of people watch Gene and I, and they instantly want to marry me because they understand how, I'm like the gift, And the idea is you can't desire someone who's not available. And what's that song by Rick Springfield? I wish I had Jesse's girl. Remember that song? I wish I had Jesse's girl. Look at the Durains over there shaking away. Here's the key thing about that. You don't want that person. You want a person that has those qualities. So stop focusing on wanting a specific person and saying, I want a person who has these qualities. And then take whoever the person is and expand those qualities to be even more than that, so you're attracting so much more than that person could ever be. Does that make sense? So don't desire a specific thing, desire the attributes of the thing in a way that's easy for it to come into your life.
There's 2 questions on this one. What if one of the toxic people who you should be letting go is tied to you forever through a child? How do I get to the point where they don't make me second guess my growth?
That happens a lot in today's world with divorce and having children, and then we've got to partner with that person who is the biological or the adopted parent. The key thing is it's all about getting your mind straight. If you believe that that person's going to have power over you and that person's going to own you, they're going to own you. When you stop giving your power away to that person and say, no matter how crazy they get, I'm going to keep my cool. I'm going to be in charge of my life, and I'm going to be the example to my child of what a pure, loving parent is. Because if you're judging your ex, you're not demonstrating to the child that you're loving. To be with that ex, you've got to accept them as they are. Yes, you can accept that your ex is an a-hole. It's okay to accept that. But they're God in expression, but they're demonstrating qualities that are not approving. You can accept that's the case. And once you accept it, you don't have to let that have dominion over you.
What advice could you give for those ridden with anxiety?
Anxiety is simply fear of the future. What's going to happen next? Stop worrying about the future and live in the now. If you're living in the now, the future will take care of itself. Stop living in the future. Stop worrying about what's going to happen to you. Be fully present now. When you're fully present now, you're actually creating the future now. And it's a future you'll not be anxious about.
Who is traveling with me in 2020 as I continue to explore our world?
Who's traveling with me? I'm going to Bali in April 8th. If you want to join me, you can sign up out there. I think there are 2 or 3 slots left. Reverend Veronica wants to join us. Reverend Veronica says, I'm going to get my 12 people and I'm going to join you. So I said, do it, woman. I'd love to have Veronica with me there. Your spiritual journey, realize this. Your spiritual journey is a journey you take alone. And on the way, you allow people to come and join you on that journey. But it's never just with one person. I don't have a journey with just Gene. I have a journey with everybody in here in a way. I have a journey with everyone that I meet. Everyone is a part of my journey. So don't think it's just with one person.
Actually, this is a question for you, Steve. Can the band play 30 seconds of Just Like Heaven by The Cure?
Just write it on a $100 bill.
Do you hear that? Any song that you want played by the band, you write it on a $100 bill and you give it to Steve, and they'll take care of that. So, I tried not to gloss over too much, but I didn't go into really deep depth here. But I wanted you to have a feeling of how we can look at things. But the key that I want to leave you with today is to realize that the answer you are seeking is within you. I've given you a perspective, and that perspective is relevant to me. If it can help you shine the light in you, allow that to happen for you. If you want more of a perspective, you can reach me after service. But that's why we're here in community. We're in community to bond, to share, and to grow together, to love one another as only we can.
I want to thank you for joining us today. I'm so grateful that you took your time to watch or listen to this message. If you found this message beneficial, I would ask that you go to our website, agapecsl.com. Once there, click on the donate button and experience the joy of conscious and purposeful giving. Or if you would like, text your gift by simply dialing 972-532-6976. It is through your gifts that we are able to bring this message to you in the world. I would ask that if you like this message, to please subscribe to my YouTube channel under my name, Lee Wolak. Again, I want to thank you for joining me in the Agape community as we learn how to better self-love through conscious living.